So the year is nothing. Like on a grand scale of things, and if you zoom out, the trends are really not the trends, it's just the themes which you need to be aware of and then make your decisions accordingly. What I'm gonna give you is really just those signals so that you can take it away and think for yourself. 2024 is gonna be quite, if not pivotal, it's gonna be a bit of a transformational to the actual tech industry, and it's an obvious one too. If you take something like layoffs FYI data, the actual layoffs are on a downtrend, and it's not surprising as well. All the different big tech and the inspired companies who took that inspiration and just followed through and kind of just chopped down, let's say, the 10% or so employees across the tech industry, now gonna start realizing that they need that talent to support those different initiatives, or we're just gonna be in better pastures or have more funding to actually explore the innovative bits or the new greenfield type of opportunities or projects. They're gonna need to start rehiring. It's not that, you know, the times are getting better, which they are slowly getting there. It's because people just ran out of people to lay off. So I foresee it actually slowing down and a lot of the roles opening up, which you can already see on LinkedIn, that a lot of people are starting their new positions and big tech is starting to rehire, which I want to cover in the next point. Why I believe that a lot of those things are actually sorting itself out. One is, the big one is financial market, because it doesn't matter how good is your product or how much value you deliver to your company. If the finances are not right and the stocks crash and you need to still sustain the valuation of a business or provide value to the shareholders, which is usually the accountability a lot of the executives have to face. Because of that, we need to look not just about how well the company is doing, let's say from user experience perspective, because that matters even less. It's almost like a downstream from the actual decisions. We need to go upstream, and that would be the actual financial market fluctuation. This figure I think is pretty good because it kind of informs that the tech is going to follow. Again, there is just so many industries and so many firms out there and so many types of work which is low tech savvy, in need of digital transformation. That's where the tech kind of comes in and helps it out. Of course, it depends. If you take something like Silicon Valley or big tech, it's a totally different ballpark. But if you generalize and zoom out worldwide across all the different industries, SaaS, the digital, the tech, were like the least growing industries in general, and everything else like transport, supply chains, healthcare, myriad of a lot of different industries are on a climb. And I think once, you know, we stabilize, the tech is gonna fall. Big signal, I guess, as well to just check is a Wall Street holds firmer after its 3-week slide as big tech stocks rebound. This is a massive one. They actually are valuated better. They're doing much better. They have much more cash to play with ultimately. They can start rehiring, they can start planning for a future. Granted, because a lot of the firms are burnt, they're going to be very cautious and risk averse. The 3 big flags which you need to look out for is, one, once the tech IPOs and acquisitions start to happen again, that's where you know that things are going to start to look up, and they are looking up. And this is a screenshot I took today, by the way. Is the staff UX opening at Google, and once big tech is hiring, a lot of other firms are going to start hiring as well. And the third one, and perhaps the most important bit, it might surprise you, by the way, the actual recruiters being rehired. And this is very important, and I'm going to repeat again, the actual recruiters being rehired. Why? Because once the layoffs happens across the board, the first people who usually tend to go are the ones who are sourcing other people, because you don't need to hire, you don't have cash to hire, you don't have cash to invest into getting more people on board. And recruiters were bad. If they're being rehired, chances are the new programs again are spinning up, the new roles are opening up, and someone has to admin that. And within last few days, anecdotally so, but again, look out for these signals yourself. I saw at least a few recruiters getting back to their roles in different firms. So these 3 signals, and especially the last one, are progressively more important for you to keep in mind. If you see this happening, you know that we're going to be good, and I see this happening, and that's why I'm calling it out for you. Following on from the last bit, by the way, the certain industries will have to recover sooner than the others. And layoffs happen like blitz, instant basically. Now this creates obviously debt, and a lot of debt. And that's why the industries, and my law is that the industries and parties that had laid off most employees will be the first ones to rehire upon market upturn. So let's say if we take this data set of 10 or so different industries, the retail as well, that's where the cash is mostly being generated. They're gonna soon realize that they don't have enough people to support new initiatives, or they don't have enough people to even maintain the initiatives we had before, because they're gonna be running on that maintenance mode where, let's say, maybe, let's fictitiously take 10 designers and 9 of them got chopped off, 1 was remaining. What could that 1 designer do in the firm? Do bare minimum, be a design team of 1, support maybe 1 or 2 big initiatives, maybe take a program level challenge if they're senior enough, maybe plan to rehire, stuff like that. But it's kind of like a zombie mode. And a lot of the firms are in that state. Some are maybe not, maybe doing better, but they are in that kind of like a limbo. And because we chopped brutally in those areas, I predict, and again, it's a prediction, they're gonna be the ones to quickly rehire. So if you want to, I guess, get into UX, now is the time to look out for those industries or those opportunities like retail, consumer, hardware, food, healthcare, finance, transportation, sales, education, media, stuff which is also quite low on the actual tech involvement or on a lower scale. If you have any case studies in any of those industries, you were maybe affected in both industries, chances are when the upturn happens and as we start to climb up the rehiring, these are the industries which I'm not gonna say might, they will need to rehire. It's just a given. Quite frankly, and I don't know if this is my next point. Oh yes, it is. So my next point is that AI is hot shit right now, and it's like catnip for product managers and business leaders. Now, this is kind of throwing a spanner in the works for us, and massively so. I didn't even look for UX openings because they're small, they're still recovering. Right now, it is high with AI-specific product management. It's just another way to describe a technical product manager who's maybe has experience with AI. That's about it. But that then has a lot of the impact on what we do day to day, because product managers are magicians who actually make a lot of the different things happen and orchestrate and usually make lives of the UXers much easier as long as we know what we're doing. But given the demand for technical product management, my hopes are quite low, and it's likely going to end up with this kind of Wild West cowboying around with a lot of people jumping in it, maybe having some AI experience or technical experience or engineering experience, but not so much of a UX experience. They might not be equipped to shape products which actual people use. And we see a lot of that already, AI wrappers and ChatGPT versions of it, it's garbage. Like we might generate some substantial revenue here and there because it's novel and it's new and it's exciting, it's hype. But most of those tools, and I think once all that hype kind of, die down, you realize that we are not that good because we don't really answer any human needs. If you don't have someone who's advocating for it, and now you're going to have a lesser partner in that, it's going to be very dangerous. So it's going to create a lot of a debt in the user centricity, and it's going to further increase. So if your product was already in shambles or the user experience was kind of like secondary to all the things, now it's probably going to be quiet, even more so. You are going to be taxed even more so to fight, to change minds, to coach, to partner up with a product manager who might be technical, and then try to build that appreciation, ways of working, fight for the seat at the table too, because if everyone's so drunk with the drive to use LLMs left and right, let's say, then you're going to be the one, probably someone who has a bit more sanity to be like, why are we doing this? Or is this the right thing to do? And it's going to be even more challenging. But that uncovers massive opportunity. Flip it upside down. The demand of UX skills, once a business's failures start to show, because it's inevitable, once you just put all the eggs in a technical basket and you forget about human centricity or making products people actually need and want to use, then you end up with a lot of dead experiments, and failures are gonna kind of make people learn. And it's almost like that vicious cycle where as UXers, I think especially if you're a UX leader, you're kind of used to like, God damn it, we're just way too far gone and we just need to almost like let it fail so that the business leaders can learn and we can do better decisions next time. And that's, I think, what's gonna happen in a way. Again, some areas might not see any of this, some might see all of this. It's gonna vary, but general theme could inform a trend of sorts. It's definitely time to shift from a simple chatbots and again that crappy UX, or some people thought it's amazing UX, I still challenge it. AI Gartner's life cycle, right? Like where you have a lot of hype and we're running for it. There's generative AI and everything else included in this. And we are probably somewhere, I think, again, this depends how we look at it, but if we zoom out, we're somewhere here. We're not yet at the slope of enlightenment, and ignore some of these signals like computer vision, let's say, being a big one. It's already a big one. I think we're not yet entering this, which is the most important part, which is slope of enlightenment. That's where obsessive AI gonna reflect and say we need to think about user experience. There is some thinking here and there, but it's very anecdotal and very small. It's not a trend just yet. So I think in the next year, we're gonna start going into this section. You need to basically reflect and say, hold on, chill out. Is this the right thing to do? Does that produce enough value? Is this the right bet to take? And that would create us the preferable future. My pet peeve, I guess, with last year has been as well that a lot of the UX courses for AI have been focusing on how to design better chatbots or just introducing what LLMs are. They're not thinking about what would ideal experience powered by AI would look like. I think I'm gonna also work on a course for AI-powered user experiences. Do let me know if you want it, because I want that demand too. But I feel like a lot of the people who didn't really work with AI before, we just kind of think, oh, let me know how to design yet another experience where it's conversationalist. You're not considering of what type of AI it is and what value it delivers. Like when I have a chat with some of the people and I say, is it assistive? Is it autonomous? Is it something which kind of like just automates your data presentation layer? And it's likely is that. There is no value in it. With the next year, and if we get to that reckoning and that pivotal moment, a lot of the AI has to be going from this mid-assistive point to the decision support. So this is what's lacking. It's not understanding that there's so many different layers to AI-powered user experiences, that it's not just about bloody chatbots and LLMs with a UI wrapper. And your on a vision level experience is gonna be full-on bloody automation where everything is done by AI. And that's your goal. Now work backwards to see exactly how you can get to a decision support. We used a lot of cognitive mapping, mental model mapping, the decision support research specifically, which was tied to how to design the bloody AI experiences as they should. Type of the UX work in 2024. Simply put, generalists are still favored over specialists. If you take UX copywriters or motion designers or something like super specific, I know some companies are gonna say, yeah, we cannot live without them and it's not super specific, we must have them. I agree, like you should always have them, but those roles are still a few. Those roles are usually the ones which might chop down to the minimum, and then the generalists might follow, but you still end up with a pool of the generalist skill sets who can do more, who can kind of, again, maintain those different initiatives and projects because there is no one else to do so. In the next year, it's going to persist. The risk-averse behaviors, even if we get to a good state, and we will, in rehiring, the generalists are going to be rehired first because everybody's going to be slowly moving ahead. They're not going to go and say, we need to now, form new teams for research. We need to do this or that. That's going to take months or years to recover. The next one is that the core to design skills such as visual design holds foundations of previously flourishing UX orgs. And that's kind of a given because most of the companies still think of UX as a visual thing because that's what we show. When we talk about user experience, we need to show prototypes, we need to show mock-ups. That's going to persist as well, I think. If companies just going to use UX to design flashing mockups and churn it, then in that case, we're gonna definitely increase the rate of failures because we're not gonna get everything right if we don't know enough and there's massive uncertainty and risk. But the failures then gonna drive and reinvigorate demand for more holistic UX. The UX industry trends video, this one by the way, if you haven't seen this, do look on my channel, just search for UX industry trends 2023. It's gonna sum up that because it's not gonna be any different. Even if we're gonna start rehiring, there's still gonna be the obsession with this ship and measure approach. I think it's gonna persist again because of that lean nature of things. However, the message from my end would be still challenge the business, the product ownership, the executive leadership, whoever at whatever level are your peers or people above, and make this much more holistic. All of these have a lot of values in different challenges. With AI, let's say specifically, and if you specialize with AI, which is going to be a fraction of all the people viewing, a lot of it should be research heavy and quite design heavy, or somewhere in between, but it should be research heavy because it does need a lot of discovery about user needs, their mental models, cognitive mapping of how we make decisions and how to support them. So I would challenge to still think holistically, and if we know that appreciation is going to be for generalist role, fight that battle and expand the things towards research heavy and towards design heavy instead of just shipping and measuring and making those driven solutions which nobody really needs. A lot of that accountability is going to come down to you because you're the designer of experiences and you facilitate that at the minimum. Then in that case, you are the fighter to basically fight the good fight and ensure that the users get the tools they actually need, not just necessarily what's cool or what's hot or what could cost business so much to maintain, because running the bloody models or renting that database space is way too expensive. And I think that's about it. Do make sure to look out for other signals, especially those I highlighted, which would mean that we are getting there. We're in a good state. Do rewatch this too, because that certainly helps. But on that note, I'm gonna end it here. I hope you have a good evening or a good day wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in.